I'm not sure if that's her real name, but that's who commented on one of my videos. I made a video about how women have to do the inner work in order to attract the type of man that they would want to date or that they would want to be with long term. And she was like, hey, people always talk about doing the inner work, but could you do something like to elaborate on what that means? And I thought about, instead of making a video, I could just use my podcast platform to elaborate on what I meant. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to play the video that I posted, and then I'm going to elaborate on what I was talking about in a more intricate way.
Y'all be thinking I be giving niggas too much. I'm gonna give women too much today. If you want a man, a husband, all that, you gotta do the inner work. You need to emulate the type of husband you want. You need to be the woman you want your husband to accept. You need to hold yourself accountable, clean yourself up, polish yourself, literally sit yourself there like a trophy. And when the right man come along, jump off the fucking shelf and show him what the fuck type of woman you are. But you gotta do the work first. That's the thing.
And when I say that, I say it in a very vague way, but I'm glad the girl asked me to elaborate because I don't mind doing that for y'all. I'm gonna give y'all a lot of examples because I'm gonna give y'all a taste of what type of person I am. But when I say show him what type of woman you are, there's nothing wrong with being a trophy wife, but you don't have to be a statue trophy. You could be one of those statues that know how to move. It's like you got body paint on. You look good, you shiny, but you have principles, you have depth. Like there's stuff that actually goes on in your brain that make what you say and how you present yourself as valuable as a woman anyways. Like you can be a beautiful trophy wife, but also have stuff to bring to the table. But everybody don't need to know what you have to offer because every type of person isn't going to be your type anyways. So how would you know that without doing the inner work first, which is practicing self-care, figuring out what makes you happy, because happiness doesn't just stem from a person, because people end up dying. People are born to die. So you have to attach yourself to things. You have to be gratuitous of things that are on this earth that give you a personality, give you something to be thankful for, or things that just make you feel like you're alive. So, for example, like if I wanted to show a man what type of woman I am, I would be like, hey, ideally, I want to be stable. I want a husband who wants a legacy, who wants children, who wants to build so much wealth that the sky is the limit. I want someone who wants to have a lot of real estate property, also wants to have a lot of land just for like private property for the family to have, just for if we need it or in an emergency. If something happens to me and my husband, our kids have all of these things to fall back on. Like I want to be a unit with a man. But also on the back end of that, what am I supposed to be doing as a woman to make a man feel like I'm worth building this type of life with? And that's the questions that I want you to ask yourself. Because like I was saying in the video, I could already be married by just settling for a man that knows he wants a solid woman, but he doesn't know what he wants and he is kind of just going with the flow. And sometimes being too strong of a woman, but not knowing what you want and not having your emotions delegated, it can be very hard for you to function in a relationship with a man who isn't a leader and he lacks initiative, because he doesn't know how to pick your brain to figure out what it is that you want. And vice versa. Like you're just going to be in a relationship with somebody letting him do whatever the whole time. You could be with a man that's stronger or someone that's more of a leader type, like what you're looking for. Because a lot of women say they want leaders and strong men, but it's like a lot of those men want strong women. They don't want some of them are abusive and they want to push women around, but most logically genuine, strong leaders that feel like they can learn from everybody, including their spouse, they're going to want a woman that's equally yoked, that has her own mind, can do her own thing, establish things and run things like he can trust her to run things in his absence. But what are we doing as women to build ourselves up for a man like that? Because while we can talk trash about the men that ain't doing what they're supposed to do or they weren't raised right, there are men out here who are capable of leading a stable lifestyle with you, but they were raised to be husbands. So they're looking for a woman that's going to lead them in a different direction. Like they're already strong in the role of what a man is supposed to be, but they were raised to have a strong woman next to them that fulfills other duties. And if you know you don't want to get married or settle down or nothing like that, then this video is not for you. But in order to do the inner work, whether you want a stable life or you want a 50-50 life with a man, like y'all just split everything down the middle, you work, he works, like y'all aren't trying to have kids. Like if y'all want a marriage that's not as traditional, that is still okay. But as a woman, you can't have all these expectations, dates, gifts, a man making this type of money. Like you can't have all these expectations and you have none for yourself. Like it is honestly very nice to know that you have all of these rules and red flags when it comes to a man, but it's like you've sat up and thought about what you won't tolerate from a man, but what makes you desirable? That's the questions that you need to ask yourself. Doing the inner work means that you start doing things like journaling or seeking mentorship from people that have lives that you want. A lot of you guys love to say you're not a copycat or you don't like gatekeepers or you don't like this or that, but we draw inspiration from each other. And there are women out here that are emulating the lifestyle and the personalities that y'all may want. And that doesn't mean that you're trying to copy these women. That just means that these women have strong qualities that you want to aim towards earning. So the first step in doing the inner work is finding people that inspire you. Let go of misery, envy, jealousy, all that stuff. Let go of things that make you feel like you can't compare yourself to others, because this isn't about comparison. This is literally about living. We are all here trying to live a life purposefully, and whatever you want out of life, you that didn't just come out of nowhere. When you were born, you didn't know what the moon, star, and sky was. You didn't know what Apple Pay was. Like you didn't know what a lot of this stuff is that we have now because you learn it as you go. So when you develop hobbies and interests, it's because you're drawing inspiration from people or from nature or from watching, people do other activities, whatever it is. Give people that inspire you their credit, whether it's they know how to capture a good moment or they're literally like someone could have a whole business where like someone like a TV show host, they give a lot of their personality because it's very open and raw on television. So it's like you don't realize it, but when you live and operate and experience things in the world, you're drawing inspiration from other people, the things that you like, the things that seem interesting to you. I mean, a woman, you may hate somebody's guts, but you may love what they have on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Drawing inspiration from what someone is wearing because their skin makes it pop or they have a good body shape to fit it, that's okay. That just means you're finding what works for you as well. Also, what I will say too, I'm glad I learned this at a young age. Also draw inspiration when it comes to aesthetics, and because my grandma always said when you look good, you feel good. And while looks aren't everything, that doesn't mean you go unpolished and you go around looking sloppy. And I will say that I'm glad I learned to draw inspiration from people that are similar to me, similar hair texture, similar body shape or something like that. And not to say like you're not pretty if you go outside of that, but like envision yourself in something that inspires you. And if you feel comfortable in that, cool. And sometimes, you get inspiration and you feel inspired by stuff that isn't for you, but it's admiration almost. You get inspired by stuff that you may just admire, but then you find your own way to recreate what you got inspired by. If that is making sense, if y'all are keeping up with me. Like you really want to dig into a life that seems ideal for you. Stop looking for a lifestyle that is portrayed by others or that is conformed by this world, because trying to do this because it's trendy or because that's what everybody else is doing is not a good enough reason. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with liking something because you like it. That's totally different from liking something on your own and liking something because it's a trend. You don't want to like stuff because you're being told to do it or you're being coerced into doing it, even if it's unknowingly. Because a lot of you guys like stuff not realizing that it's not even your true opinion, or not your true opinion. You're liking stuff not realizing that you really have no interest in it. Like liking stuff through the eyes of others is not real. That makes you a follower. You don't want to be a follower. I'm telling you that now. And also, when the girl kind of sparked my brain about doing this episode about the inner work and healing from the inside out, I had to write down a couple of notes for y'all. And I just wanted to kind of read them and elaborate on some of them because I just feel like it's important. So a part of doing, and these are just like quick notes, so all of it's going to be kind of like all over the place. But I wrote, feel emotions, but don't let them become you. Doing the inner work does require you to sit with yourself and reflect on things that you need to heal from, you need to outgrow, you need to cut off so you can be more mature and evolve into the person that you're trying to become. Because I see that y'all are getting inspired by memes and other people's growth, but you're like, where do I start? You need to stop denying emotions, whether they're good, bad, ugly. You need to be open and raw about it and let the people close to you that love you know, hey, I'm being open and I'm being raw, and don't take this personal, but I just have to get these feelings out. And you can take them how you want to take them. We can talk about those and interpret them at another time, because I want you to feel your feelings too. Once you go through that, all that emotional stuff, you're okay with dealing with other people's emotions, because you understand people need to grieve and feel and suffer through a lot of their experiences so they can move on. Sitting and holding on to something but never really dwelling in it so you can let it go is not healthy. Holding on to stuff, being a big ball of aggression, is not good. So and it's really just, it's immature to hold on to societal expectations, like saying you don't have feelings, trust issues, blah, 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 masking your emotions. None of that stuff is cool anymore. And I'm going to be the first one to tell y'all. So manage your time, because as women, we love to get dramatic over stuff, but we never really slow down, turn off the noise, and just try to understand why you as an individual are feeling the way you feel. Nobody else's feelings matter. Yours do, when you're trying to slow down and process stuff. So once you do that, work on altering your perception. Your choices can change your reality. Like, you want to work on being more transparent. You want to work on being more open. So when you experience emotions, you can feel them and let them go the first time. Because when you're holding on to old stuff for years and years and years, it's just a big buildup. And then you have to heal and unpack all this stuff at once. It's so much baggage, and you don't want to be the bag lady. My dad always told me that. You don't want to be this lady walking around with all this baggage and emotions, and people aren't going to want to deal with you, because it's like, you're like, yeah, I got all these bags. I got all this stuff in here, but I ain't going to never put it up on the shelf. I ain't going to never do nothing with it. I'm going to just carry them around and pretend it's not heavy when you know it is. Stop straining yourself emotionally. And as you go through those things and you're healing the inner work is really healing your inner child. Because I have this theory that when we were kids, that's who we were supposed to be. Your parents are supposed to exploit your strengths and help you build them up so you can be a great adult and individual when you grow up. But a lot of the time, the world we live in now is so shallow and broken down by expectations that your parents kind of polish you up so the world doesn't beat you up for being different or for being imaginative or unique, not realizing that our uniqueness is what sets us apart as individuals. Because even though I said we're all here to live purposefully, we're still unique. We're still here to do different things. And it's okay to not want to step on each other's toes. We can all get the same stuff done. So with that comes being an individual and understanding your value and your role while connecting with your true beliefs. You need to get in the driver's seat of your life, and whatever feels the most comfortable to you in your gut intuition, you will know it. It will feel right. You will start receiving. People always say they don't hear God and they don't know when he's speaking to them. When you are recognizing blessings and you are being gratuitous for small things in life, you will notice that what you pray for and what you think about, what sits on your conscience, it will come to you. The more grateful, the more open you are, the more intentional you are with your life. You need to get in the driver's seat of your own life and start being intentional about the things that you do. Because whether they're coming from a place of grief or from a place of curiosity, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you're trying to intentionally do better. And God is going to show you signs of, hey, this is a hiccup, you shouldn't do this, or hey, that's good, and this is the reward that you get for walking on a path that's in your favor that I believe is for you. Like, you have to know what path God has set for you. I can't tell you what that path is because I don't know what you want. I can give you all these examples and rundown, but you need to figure out what it is that you want. And if you don't know what that is, start journaling your feelings and just stuff that you're wondering, even stuff you're not sure about. Just write down, hell, I don't know, and pray on it. And I promise you, God will, it's repetition. You have to grow into journaling and getting used to sitting with yourself, writing out your feelings, because journaling will help you hold yourself accountable, but it'll also strengthen your conscience. You'll feel more comfortable talking to yourself and negotiating with God about what you need to do next. So you won't be asking for all this outside help from people who may cloud your judgment. And that's not to say that your peers can't be trusted, but sometimes people aren't on the same path as you, and sometimes you have to sit with yourself and figure it out by yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want people to cloud your judgment and you take too long to grow because you're trying to do things in a way that someone else deems as appropriate. You need to do what your gut and what your feelings are telling you. It's an internal system that you have to continuously work on over and over. And when you're doing that, your family needs to understand that. And you need to also understand that you have to be open and communicate with your family about what you're going through, trying to heal, trying to do better, but also having those boundaries so they understand. Because when you love people, like your immediate loved ones, you don't have to love them with all those conditions, because they should understand that you aren't theirs to control. They should want to just see you live a prosperous life. You growing and evolving as a person is what your loved ones should want from you. You need to be practical while considering expectations that you have for your family, friends, even your partner. Like if you know you're going to sit down and start doing the inner work to heal and to grow, you need to make your family aware of that and let them know, hey, these are my expectations going forward because I've grown. But you also need to give those people time to adjust to the things that you're doing now. And after a certain period of time, you'll know who's serious about changing and who's going to be stuck in the same spot. And that's when you need to start letting people go or distancing yourself, because people that don't want to grow are eventually going to feel threatened by you. They're going to think that you're intimidating, that you're trying to be better than them or whatever. And that's not what love is. People that really love you won't see your growth as a competition. And that's one of the main things too. The way people react to the things that you're doing for yourself, for your own good intentions, that is very telling. People that don't want to see you do well just for your own sake, your own benefit, they are not for you. And you will learn that as you grow and you try to live in more happiness. And retraining your thoughts to create a natural, motivating environment in your brain, like that's ego driven, and not in a conceited way, but in a, you should love yourself enough and be selfish enough to say, hey, I want to influence myself mentally to be more positive, more happy, embrace those cliches. I love, hope, peace, happiness, positivity. People love to call that stuff vague and corny and all that, but it's like, that is the basis of humanism. That is one of the main ways to show people you're a source of light, to just be a good person. Like, you have to get down to the basics. Like, be grateful to just use your limbs, stretch, have fresh air. Instead of waking up, getting on your phone, wake up and go outside, breathe in some air, bend down and stretch. Be glad you can do it. Feel the blood rush down through your body. Be glad that you can do that, because a lot of people cannot. Doing the inner work is getting back to the basics. Nothing on this earth matters more than your happiness. And your happiness should not be rooted in materialistic things or the aesthetic of it all. Happiness should be rooted in being grateful for being here and being grateful to have a chance to be a part of this world and contribute something, and to enjoy the things that other people are contributing. You want to clap for others just like you want to clap for yourself. So protect and practice daily is something I want to talk to y'all about, because it's something I also wrote down. I wanted to tell y'all 3 things that I won't do and 3 things that I will do since I have started healing and doing my own inner work on my own journey. One thing I won't do is meet people on their level. One thing you're not going to do is make my day bad because you got a nasty attitude. You're not going to talk to me crazy. You're not going to coerce me into responding to anything ignorant you have to say, or you walking around with a frumpy attitude. If I'm talking to you trying to figure out what's wrong because I care about you and you don't want to answer, that's fine, but you're not going to pull me down to your level. I woke up in a good mood. Nobody controls my mood ever. I won't meet people on their level. Another thing I won't do is compromise my standards, especially for minimal efforts. And that's especially for dating and being in relationships. I'm not compromising, because another thing about doing the inner work, y'all, my aunt told me this, and I'm going to tell y'all, as a young woman, if you have not sat down and wrote down the pros and cons, the good and bad of you as a person, your personality, your strengths and your weaknesses, you need to write that down. And then you need to sit down and write down your expectations and your pros and cons of the perfect ideal partner for you. Do not compromise those standards once you have decided that you're going to be firm and you're going to practice those things. Because one thing about it, a man is going to go for exactly what a woman allows him to. So do not compromise your standards, because you will not attract the type of man that you want, watering yourself down for somebody who wants to give you the bare minimum. And the third thing I won't do is deny my emotions or let anyone around me do that. I'm not going to deny how I feel. And I'm not going to, if I can tell somebody around me feel some kind of way, I'm going to not force them, but I'm going to try my best to poke and pry, see if they'll tell me what's wrong, because I don't like unclear air. I don't like all those gray areas. I like for things to be black and white. If you got a problem, let's reconcile it. Let's talk about it. If you don't want to, I'm okay with that too, but I like to openly communicate. I don't like unfinished business anymore. I don't like to walk away from a situation without, even if I can't walk, I'm not going to force it and force somebody to talk to me, but I'm going to make that effort to say, hey, is there a problem? What's up? Like, I'm going to put everything out on the table. And if people don't want to participate, I'll walk away, but I will walk away knowing I tried. So those are my 3 main things that I will not do. 3 things I will do now that I have done some of the inner work is I do practice positivity and gratitude on a daily basis. I try to thank God for just anything. I don't care if it's my card being approved at Starbucks. I don't care if it's the breeze on my face while I'm staring at the leaves on the trees dance. I don't care what it is. Practice gratuity, because you will become, the more grateful you are for simple things, it's so easy to just be naturally grateful. Like, you're just going to be thanking God for everything. You're going to be thanking God for every breath you take. And that is going to attract more blessings for you. It's going to stop you from thinking so hard about what you do and don't deserve. You're just going to let things flow to you. Another thing I will always do now is I will analyze what triggers me as well. I'm not perfect and I don't claim to be perfect. And I'm still on a active healing journey. I just love sharing this information with y'all. But analyzing what triggers me is something I thrive off of doing the inner work. If I go somewhere and a man, tries to hit on me and I get triggered by his word choice because my standards are different, I analyze myself, like, why did I let that person make me feel so aggressive in that moment when he has the preference of talking to me like that and I have the preference of denying him any type of conversation because I don't like his approach. I don't have to like his approach, but I also don't have to tell this man that he need to do better and he need to treat, like, I don't have to meet him on his level. I can just be like, yeah, respectfully, no, sir. Like, I'm still having a good time. Like, you want to actively notice what causes you these negative emotions, so to stay away from things, create boundaries, or just check yourself. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're overreacting to stuff. Maybe it's just not that big of a deal, but those are the things that you need to be looking at. And the last thing that I will do now is I will always be okay with giving heavy weight off of my chest. I will never feel bad for airing out a room. I don't care who there or what's going on. If I feel like I need to get something off my chest, I'm going to do it. Even if it isn't, I don't care if it's received in the way I want it to be received. I'm just glad I got it out in the open. People sometimes tend to download and process the stuff I say after the fact, and that's fine. Y'all can listen to this about 1,000,000 times before y'all truly understand what I'm saying, but it will always be here for you to understand.